This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Rolling along here, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you as we welcome you back into this Football Friday edition of Money Moves. Still to come this hour, we will get into the 9-game NBA card with Zach Cohen, who's going to join us in about 30 minutes or so. We'll have best bets leading into the weekend at the end of the hour. JVT's updated market power ratings in the National Football League.
Pretty much done, man.
And lots of college football bowl stuff. Pretty much done. Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's a weird feeling.
Next week, I don't even know if we do them. Only because it's going to be all these useless games. Nobody's really going to be power rated accurately. Guys are going to be sitting, so we'll decide on that. But very sad as we are pretty much at the end of the road here.
Did this season go by super fast to you?
Only because I was having so much fun.
Just on this program each and every day, hanging out with me. No, but I felt like, I don't know, it's something year after year where some seasons feel longer than others, some feel shorter than others. This was one for me that I was kind of shocked that we're already this deep in bowl season and the playoffs are right around the corner.
I mean, I think generally this NFL season, when you're talking about parity, the conversations around who can win it, this seems like one of the more entertaining years in that regard. There's quite a few teams that I think you would put inside of the bubble of tried and true Super Bowl contenders, and I think that's made for a little bit of a fun season that's gone by relatively quickly. As we have seen these swings, these teams come back, all sorts of stuff. So I think it's probably contributed to it.
Speaking of bowl season, we do have 3 games today, one already underway. The Game Above Sports Bowl out there in Detroit. Northwestern closed a 13.5-point favorite in this one against Central Michigan. And it was really slow starting. We were kind of confused about why we hadn't seen more scoring. The live total at the time when it was a 7-0 game in favor of Northwestern was 27.5. Well, that has changed on a dime. Northwestern is up 27-0 now, just a couple minutes into the third quarter. Live total 44.5. This was a total that closed around 42, 43.5. So right on par with what the expectation was, but a massive lead here for Northwestern. Still 2 more to come today. What used to be Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is now just the Rate Bowl, New Mexico and Minnesota. The first of the next 2 later on this afternoon, 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern at Chase Field in Arizona, New Mexico and Minnesota. And I don't know about you, JVT. I'm in complete agreement with the line movement on this game. Opened Minnesota -3 and total 49.5. The Gophers are currently 1.5-point favorites, and the totals come way down to 43.5. Lobos getting backed the way that they ended this season on the 6-game win streak.
Yeah, I'm kind of wrestling with this one, actually.
Okay.
I wanted to ask your opinion on it. So we're down to 1.5, total 44.5. You know me. I'm a big fan of the big bones Jason Eck on the other side for the New Mexico Lobos. But PJ Fleck has done a good job getting his teams ready to go in bowl season. I believe 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread is the number for him as a head coach in these bowl games.
Every bowl that they've played in since he took over as head coach 8 years ago, they have won.
And I think that, and this might be a higher, like I know the total's 44.5. I actually think you might be able to get some points. You look at it, this is a top 50 offense for New Mexico through the air versus a 80-ish ranked team in terms of efficiency defensively in Minnesota. On the flip side, you get the 92nd ranked pass defense in New Mexico Lobos taking on the 57th ranked most efficient offense. So you could maybe get a little bit of a back and forth here. But I just keep going back to, man, as much as Minnesota has struggled at times, and at times their offenses look really mundane, New Mexico's defense can kind of let you raise your floor a little bit here. And don't you think that maybe we're just a little too far in the direction of, hey, motivated, lesser team, group of 5 team in New Mexico in a spot, in a bowl, trying to get a win in the new regime? I just feel like a lot of this is really getting factored in. If you wanted to take 3, totally understandable. But now that we're at this 1.5 point range, I don't know. I would expect a little buyback at some point on Minnesota.
So this is where I say I agree with the line movement.
Correct, yeah.
Because I did like New Mexico at 3, and I did like under, 49.5.
Yeah.
But now we've taken such a big swing that I feel like it's a little bit too much to get in on day of. And the PJ Fleck record in bowl games, honestly, is the one thing that really made me question the New Mexico side of it. Yeah. Because I would love to see them, this New Mexico team that was picked 11th or 12th in the preseason predicted order finish for the Mountain West Conference, nearly cemented their spot in the Mountain West title game, should have ended the season on such a high under Jason Eck, and to have an opportunity to put an exclamation point on your season in a bowl win. I would love to see it. I think it's very possible. But I cannot help but think about how PJ Fleck always seems to find a way every time that they get into a bowl game. So it's something that I ultimately stayed off of here.
Do we really think on a neutral, truly these two teams, there's only 1.5 points separating New Mexico and Minnesota?
I don't know. The only game that I saw Minnesota this year, they were
favorites on the road, right?
At all. Yeah, against Cal.
Yep.
And it was an ugly game for them. I think it's like 27-14 or something like that. It was not a good game for them at all.
And if I remember correctly, they never really grabbed the lead in that one. I think Cal kind of led the whole way, right?
Wire to wire. Yeah. So we also have the Serve Pro, First Responder Bowl, FIU against UTSA. We talked about this game a little bit earlier when Will Hill joined the program. He did take the points with FIU, although this line has been all over the place. I mentioned it opened UTSA minus 8.5, got all the way down to 4.5. Now we're sitting UTSA minus 6.5 in this spot. The money has come in on the over, up from 57.5 to 61.5. For FIU, being in a bowl game is such a win for them. It's their first time since 2019. Had a good season under a first-year head coach. Ended the season on a nice little streak. I know Sam Houston's not anything to write home about in their regular season finale, but they win that game by 40. So entering bowl season on a little bit of a high. They're down 2 corners. Mr. Clark is in the transfer portal, and Victor Evans dealing with an injury. Full steam ahead, though, elsewhere for FIU. We're going to get both starting quarterbacks in this game, which is always good. But on the UTSA side, as Will mentioned, it's kind of a letdown for them to be 6-6 and to have to sneak into a bowl game after all the expectations that they've had under Jeff Traylor. My one question would be, though, are we overreacting a little bit too much to the transfer portal comments? Because, yes, he did get on the podium and say we've got like 20 guys in the portal right now, and it's really tough sledding, but
what guys?
Impact players, not really so many. It's like, let me see whoever they're all on the defensive side, which kind of makes me think again about the total in this one, how both of the teams have issues on defense with guys that are out. One starting defensive lineman, an edge rusher, and a DB. But that's for your whole team.
Yep.
Like, yes, you have 20, 25 guys that are in the transfer portal, but only 3 guys that would make an impact in this game.
That's what I didn't really have a read on this, but I'm with you. I mean, I don't think that in reading there was a bunch of guys that was going to impact you to the point where you wouldn't want to look in one direction. It seems that all the important cogs are still in the machine there, if you will.
Yeah, so no play for me on this one. I think that we're going to get points, though. So depending on what team you like more in this one, maybe you target a team total for that team and go from there. I don't know. The big news of the day, however, in college football is actually off the field, with Kyle Whittingham reportedly finalizing a deal to be the next head coach of the Michigan Wolverines following Sharon Moore's departure. Okay, before I give my thoughts, I'm curious, what's your opinion on this?
I mean, I think that given where Michigan looked like they were heading in terms of the panic setting in, all of the other jobs being filled, being declined by guys like Kalen DeBoer, there's probably way worse as you could eventually land than Kyle Whittingham.
Yes.
I think that if you gave, to use the cliche, I think if you gave people in the program truth serum, once they fired Sharon Moore, was this where they wanted to be? I think a lot of them probably say no. But at the end of the day, it's a much better spot to be in than I think you could have been. So, yeah, I think it's a fine hire. I don't think it's a long-term one in terms of it, 6 years from now, is he going to be their head coach? I'd probably say the favorite is no.
Yes. So I have a few thoughts on it, good and bad. From one sense, I love it in that I think Kyle Whittingham is one of the best coaches in college football. I think he's great. The longevity and success that he had at a program like Utah is fantastic. The sustained culture, the amount of coaches that he was able to keep on staff with him for as long as they had and have all of that success. Especially when you look at a program like Michigan that's had all of the issues they have had with multiple scandals now just in the last few years. He's about as straight-laced and straight and narrow and a great culture builder as you can have. So all of those things I think
given
are
what
great.
Michigan's been going through, that probably is a big part.
Correct.
Yeah.
But to your point, how long is this rope? He's 66 years old. He is a guy that, in my opinion, at Utah, it seemed like kind of had his foot out the door for the last couple of years. Just didn't want to end on a low note with all of the Cam Rising stuff in the season that he had last year. So he comes back for one more year. Utah essentially forces him out because Morgan Scalley had been the head coach and waiting for such a long time, and they didn't want to risk losing him because he's supposed to be their head coach of the future. So with that, from what I understand, Morgan Scalley's keeping most of that staff.
Yeah.
So with the exception of the reports that we're seeing that Jason Beck, now I've got New Mexico on my brain, you did this to me, that Jason Beck, his offensive coordinator, who he pulled over from, coincidentally, New Mexico, that he's likely to come with him. Does that mean also Devin Dampier or Bird Ficklin? Maybe that. Yeah. But other than that, staff-wise, I don't know what this looks like, which is going to be really interesting to see what he puts together.
Which means Bryce Underwood starting quarterback for LSU next year?
Well, Jason Beck does not run an offense that will work with a quarterback like Bryce Underwood.
Yep.
Like, that's not what he does.
I would assume that Underwood's like the next big piece that we're going to see here move around.
Very interesting.
Could I also, you tell me this is fair or not, we can answer this on the other side, but for everything, and you get a ton of credit for having as much consistency as Whittingham has had at Utah. Having said that, in this long tenured career, one Mountain West championship back in 2008, only 2 Pac-12 conference championships at a time. It was 2021, 2022. For a program that fancies itself a national championship contender, is he good enough to achieve that for you?
Maybe at a program like Michigan, yes.
Yeah. Right?
That you're able to get a different level of talent and a different caliber of player in the Big Ten and at a program like Michigan. And I'll give Kyle Whittingham credit for the types of teams that he builds too. Like, they're going to be tough, physical, good up front on the offensive and defensive lines. Like, those are things he prioritizes that I'm sure Michigan would like to have as their foundation moving forward, too. Something we talk about on the program a lot that maybe they don't experience as much in Utah. We love our caffeine here on the program. We love our coffee, drinking it all day, every day. And 'tis the season to come together over your holiday favorites over at Starbucks. Warm up with a creamy caramel brulee latte. You can get festive this holiday season with an iced gingerbread chai, share a velvety peppermint mocha, all that amazing stuff. Together is the best place to be at Starbucks. And together is the best place to be here on VSiN as well. We're going to step aside, but when we come back, continuing to roll along, lots of action in the NFL, in college football, maybe our final set, as you alluded to, of market power ratings in the National Football League, looking ahead to this week. We'll be right back.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
As the official horse racing partner of VSiN, First Bet is built for bettors who demand more. First Bet isn't just about placing the bet. It's about helping bettors of all levels with proprietary AI handicapping tools that give you data-driven insights and help you make smarter bets. First Bet's in-app tools give you win, place, and show probabilities for each runner so you can quickly and easily identify good value plays and improve your ROI. Right now, you can take advantage of their limited time $250 sign-up offer. To claim your bonus, you got to use our promo code, though, VSiN250 when you sign up in the First Bet app or at firstbet.com. That's promo code VSIN250. Again, in the First Bet app or at first, it's the number one, stbet.com. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, rolling along here. Time to get into a little NFL talk because this week is an interesting one. And you mentioned earlier that maybe for the market power ratings, this ends up being the last week we do it because next week so many teams are going to have so little to play for in a lot of instances. But, I mean, this week that kind of comes into play too, no?
I mean, not as much. There's a lot of one seeds and some big implications in
Absolutely.
Games.
There's a lot that it does matter, but there's a lot that, like, depending on what plays out tomorrow is going to impact the games on Sunday. And so these power ratings might be great for now, but what does it look like by the time we actually get to the day?
I mean, now I'll give you an example of why these are already out of date if we could throw these up. What about the dynamic for Green Bay? Because when I had put these up, there was a thought of, Lamar Jackson, what's going to happen? Is he going to be out? Is he going to be in? What's going on with the quarterbacks? So if you initially had ruled this for a 2-point spread in favor of Green Bay, which is what it was, on a neutral, I should say, because it was a 4-point spread when I was putting these together this morning, that would put you, of course, at a 2-point difference on a neutral. Packers on the 83 line, Ravens on the 81 line. Well, as you can see, the betting market is moving in favor of Green Bay because we are getting more word, and it's becoming more clear that Lamar Jackson will not play. And it sounds like maybe Jordan Love is going to be available. Limited practices, 3 straight days, maybe on his way out of it. Even so, we're up to like a 5.5-point spread here at Circa. That sounds like that's going to be a more palatable number for a lot of people given the situation for Baltimore. That was going to be one of the first ones I brought up today was man, you're going to tell me Lamar Jackson in doubt, and it's only a 4-point spread? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And sure enough, we're up to 5.5. But I think one of the big things I wanted to point out today, Stormy, and it ties into yesterday, if we could throw this out, does anything stick out near the bottom of this graphic when you look at the lowest power-rated teams in the NFL?
I mean, it's weird just seeing the Kansas City Chiefs are the lowest team on the board, for sure.
And look how far down they are on the 67 line.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to a point, and I think that speaks to, look, they covered the number yesterday, so we're working with evidence that we already know the result of. But having said that, it just kind of goes to show how far out we've kind of come on some of these bad teams. And so is this a week, and next week will be it too. I love the week 18 because there's so many overreactions. There's so many one team playing for nothing, the other team playing for everything, and the market just goes in one direction because, of course, the team's got to win.
Yeah.
And you saw a little bit of that this week too. These power ratings and things start to get so out of whack because you're really downgrading these bad teams. And look at yesterday. Minnesota Vikings. That's the lowest power rating we've had in our market power ratings for them. They're on the 70 line with the Commanders. What happened? Vikings won the game outright. They covered that number. Commanders plummeting down in terms of their power rating. What happened to that number? End up covering the closing number there. Chiefs, same thing. Plummeted. Lowest power rating we've seen in the market power ratings. And then what do you get? They cover that number. So it all sounds good with the result in hand, but still just looking at that as points of evidence. And we'll have some other teams now in this conversation we could point to here. But we're starting to get to that time of the year where the power rating on some of these teams is tanking, and maybe it's a little too far, and it would behoove you to look at some of these ugly dogs. And sure enough, yesterday, it benefited you.
With the Commanders, by the way, how much of an indictment was that on the Dallas Cowboys defense?
Sure.
Just still having problems.
Yep. I mean, the team stinks. I mean, there's no real way to put it. And yet they're still, like, they were getting respected in the market to an extent. So you got to think that this is going to be done, at least in terms of what we're seeing from that team moving forward.
Also, because we see the Chiefs on the 67 line, like you mentioned, so bizarre not only to see them there, but to see them there in comparison to the Raiders on the 71 line, who they're going to be playing each other, by the way, in the regular season finale next week as well. But as you kind of went through this exercise, what else in terms of how we can push it forward to this week was top of mind?
Oh, this is the big one here. Are we sure? Are we sure?
Cut this for a numbers game, by the way.
Yes,
Are we sure?
Are we sure that Tyler Shuck and the Saints are this good? And it's not like they're getting priced like they're one of the best teams in the National Football League. Saints right now are floating around like that 75 line, considered equals and a neutral with the Browns, the Colts, and obviously considered about 4 points better than the Tennessee Titans, considering that they're laying 2.5 on the road against Tennessee. But, like, Tyler Shuck has played well. But if you really look at the numbers, Stormy, under 7 yards per attempt, it's not like the touchdown-to-interception ratio is something incredible. He's giving you like a touchdown pass per game. Yes, the Saints are winning some of these games, covered last week against the New York Jets. But are we sure that this gap is that big between these two, that Shuck and the Saints have played to such a degree that they should be rated this high or this far ahead of Tennessee? I don't know. I think we're kind of at a point where they might be a little too high here in New Orleans.
So, specifically with Tennessee, I mean,
we talked about this. Zoom out, right?
Yes.
Zoom out. You got it in front of you. What do you have?
Well, I'm just saying, they've won 2 of their last 3 games.
Okay.
They were able to put up 24 in San Francisco on the 49ers.
Sure.
They have been a team that has not given up despite their shortcomings, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're a 3-win team, 2 of them in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They just beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and granted, we look at that page, and they're dead last on that board.
Hey, Broncos
That's fair.
couldn't do it.
They were still a 3-point dog in that game.
Yep.
So I think all of this is important to remember. I understand all of the love for Shuck and what he's done to turn things around, but also let's look at who they have played the last few weeks. Yeah, they put up 29 last week on the Jets.
Yep.
What do we think of that? It's the Carolina Panthers who are Jekyll and Hyde. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who have been one of the most injured teams in the league. Like, I don't know really what to make of that team in all, but I feel like at least lately I have liked the demeanor and mindset that the Tennessee Titans have come down with.
Well, and when I tell you to zoom out, what I meant by that comment is over the last 7 games, yes, the Tennessee Titans are 2-5 straight up. They're 5-2 against the spread.
Yeah.
They have been very clearly underrated by the betting market. And since that time, they've been clearly the lowest power-rated team by the betting market, yet they've been covering spreads consistently, which would tell me that they're getting undervalued by the market.
Especially for a team that we know for the last 2 years has been the worst cover team in the NFL. they have turned over a new leaf. They are shifting in the right direction. You talk about that point spread being the great equalizer. It finally is for them.
Yes. So I think for sure, like we'll have our best bets. One of the things that I have still alive, no thanks to the Lions, is a Texans-Titans teaser. I think that's pretty strong, getting them both up to 2 key numbers. But I think the Titans are live here to stay inside of that against this Saints team and potentially pull off an upset. So I think that was one that really stuck out. I wanted to ask you, the other one was just first blush, don't look at anything. Who's better, Texans or Chargers?
So, I mean, I would say Chargers just because I don't believe in the Texans' offense.
Okay.
But I think that the Texans have the best defense in the National Football League.
So I would disagree. I think the Texans are better than the Chargers. And so here we have an example of this where they're on the same line together. The Chargers.
So I think that's right. I think they should be on the same line.
So you don't really have a play then on Chargers Texans. You think this is priced accurately?
I think it's priced accurately. I have no clue how that game's going to end.
Okay. I think this should be a pick. I think that the Texans are probably about 2 points better than the Chargers on a neutral. Now it depends on, again, we've talked about this all the time. You know, how do you rate home field? Not every home field is the same. Do the Chargers even get home field? By the way, that would be further evidence in my case. Like if you're saying that there is no home field to the Los Angeles Chargers, which some would say,
there isn't.
Right. So then you're telling me that this would actually mean that the Chargers are 2 points better than the Texans overall, which again, I would disagree with. Correct. So I think this just puts me at a point where, like, I think the Texans, as much as I hate this offense at times, I think that there's such volatility in how quarterbacks play under pressure. And Herbert has been playing so well under pressure for so long, but this is going to be different. This is a team that is going to be able to rush for while also covering extremely well on the back end. If he's able to pull this off, and I know I'm saying this like it's a, what's the meme, hydrogen bomb versus coffin baby matchup? Like, it's not one of those. But if you're able to pull this off with the pressure that you're going to endure in this game, I'm going to be wildly impressed with Herbert. I think it's just a bad matchup for them. Okay. And I think the Texans are the side. And I think the market got it a little bit more right, opening pick or Texans -1, as opposed to where we're at right now.
I think part of where my issues with the Texans come are that I've been on the wrong side of betting them so many times.
Sure.
Like, how many times have I believed in them and then they haven't covered, and then when I'm like, you know what, actually this team isn't that good, then they do, and it's just, regardless of what side I've been on when it comes to a Houston Texans game, I haven't been on the right one, so maybe that's where my stuff comes from this one. Like last week, how is that a 23-21 game?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
with you.
So, it's just one of those things.
Last one. Do we really think the Giants are this much better than the Raiders?
No.
Giants on the 74 line, Raiders on the 71 line. They're laying a point on the road that would give you about a 2-point difference, or a 3-point difference on a neutral. Now, again, depends on how you want to rate this home field for the Las Vegas Raiders, but we've been using 2 points for the last few weeks now. I mean, come on now.
We could probably get you field passes for that game.
If you give me a field pass, I can see this up close. Are you serious?
God.
This is much more of a tempting game than I think you realize. By the way, for those behind the scenes, I don't know if you've said this on the air, but I will say it. Our bosses are listening. I have to get approval on this. Stormy has offered to take over the last 30 minutes of Live Bet Sunday should I choose to go to this game.
If he really wants to go that bad.
I will tell you this right now. I'm going to play bingo later tonight. If I win cash, I'm going. I'm telling you this right now. If we make it big in bingo tonight, me and the wife, I'm going. I still might go.
You need to set your sights a little higher than Raiders Giants. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Northwestern extending their lead, by the way, late here in the third quarter, 34-0 over Central Michigan right now in the game above Sports Bowls. We welcome you back here to Money Moves. And if you are looking for the perfect holiday gift or a smarter way to bet the biggest games of the year, you got to come hang out with us. VSiN's holiday special rolling on right now. It gives you VSiN Pro access to everything we do here at the network through May 1st for just $79. You get daily best bets, real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app, and so much more. Plus, you get our CFP betting bowl guide featuring all of the thoughts from all of our show hosts and experts, power rating, CFP, bowl best bets, all that good stuff as we roll along here in December. Get yourself the gift of smarter betting, VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe.
I would like to contend, so yes, it is Grapple. There's a long A. That is how you pronounce that.
That makes no sense to any of our audience here.
What are you talking about?
In the commercial break, We were talking
They
about...
don't need to know the context.
Yes, you
On the progressive
do.
guest line now, joining us is Zach Cohen, who we should not waste his time. We have a lot of NBA to get
Zach
to
was
here.
a part of this conversation,
by
though.
the way, I'm
You're
glad
talking
our-
about potatoes and the different genus of potatoes,
That's right.
and then how about the apples, and did you know that there's a grape apple? It's a whole thing, Zach. I didn't know that this is what we were getting into today.
Yeah, I blew their minds talking about cotton candy grapes. If you've ever had those, they're very weird. They're like normal grapes. They taste like cotton candy. I don't understand it.
Okay, so
Where's that come from?
Let's. I have no idea. Let's talk about this then. More outrage, more feelings of unbridled rage. Would it be what Stormy feels with me every single day, or what you feel when it comes to Quinn Snyder and the way this Hawks team has taken a dive?
Yeah, I went off on a tangent on this on Hardwood Handicappers today. I feel like Quinn Snyder is regarded as a genius, and he is a coach that I've always really liked. But something's not working in Atlanta, and it can't just be that you blame Trae Young when he is playing as well as he has offensively. So why is this team so bad defensively when they have 5 of their best 6 players are plus-level defenders? And, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risachet, Onyeka Okongwu. These are all guys that I think are pretty good defenders. And this team has no interest in getting stops. They play one of the fastest paces in the league right now, actually number 1 in the league in pace over the last 12 games. And every one of their games now is being played with like 250 plus points being scored. I don't know when it happened, but there's just no commitment to defense at all. It's all offense with this team. And I think that Snyder needs to take some of the blame.
So, Zach, with that in mind, the total today for Hawks and Heat is sitting right there at 250 and a half. Do you lean toward an over even at such a high number? How do you see it?
Yeah, I took the over at 248. Of course, I just went on that little rant and I'm going to lose. But I do have the over in this game. Like I just said, over the last 12 games, Atlanta's number 1 in the league in pace. Miami, over the course of the entire season, is number 1 in the league. So these are 2 teams that really want to play fast. I don't think that either one of them is really going to try to slow this down at all and try to play a half-court game. And in the 4 games that Trae Young has been back for, he's only played in 3 of them. All 3 of those games have featured at least 249 points. So that's why I went over 248. I would still go over 250 if you have to. But, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of possessions, a lot of shots in this game. We'll just have to hope these teams are making a few of them. But I do think this is going to be a game that's very high scoring and very low on defense.
All right, let's go to late tonight. 5:15, 5:16 for those of you who still use a rotation. Detroit and Utah. I was telling Stormy that I think the Jazz in this spot could be pretty live. If I got back to 10, we'll see if it actually happens. But would you agree that Utah at home, coming out of a little bit of a break here, is going to be able to give Detroit a good punch? And is 9 still playable?
Yeah, I think 9's still playable. I said it before, actually, and I wrote it up at VSiN.com. I'll probably take this even more at 8.5 if I have to, if I know for a fact that Larry Markkinen is in. He's not on the injury report right now, but they do add him late. They don't seem to care about being fined because they are tanking. They're one of the few teams in the league that's outwardly tanking. So I would not be surprised if you see him an hour before game time. They say he's sick and doesn't play. But if he is playing, I think this game's going to be pretty close. Detroit has been solid on the road this year, but their net rating is way lower when playing away from home. In Utah, they have like a -7 net rating over the course of the entire season, but it's -3 at home. So I just don't think that the gap between these two teams is 10. I feel like this game is being priced as though it's being played on a neutral floor. Like under Will Hardy, Utah's been a very profitable team when playing at home. They have been a very good team when playing as an underdog of 3.5 to 9.5. And I do think that the Jazz are going to be able to create some offense against the Pistons here. I know Detroit's defense is very good, but I think that Keontae George and Markkinen are just a really good duo right now. And I have some question marks about Detroit offensively. So while Utah is a little bit weaker defensively, I would not be surprised if the Pistons look a little bit sluggish tonight.
VSiN.com senior editor, NBA analyst, host of the Hardwood Handicappers podcast, Zach Cohen, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. We were talking a little bit earlier about this Charlotte Hornets-Orlando Magic game coming up tonight. Orlando laying 5.5, total 228.5. But there's a prop angle that you think could come out tonight.
Yeah, I think that Paolo Banchero's point total is a little bit too low. It's at 24.5 right now. He has not gone over this number in 3 games, so maybe that's why it's gone down a bit. But I do think that with his usage up, which it is right now because Franz Wagner's out, Jalen Suggs is doubtful, I think that he can be counted on to have a pretty big game against the Hornets. I mean, Charlotte is really weak when it comes to defending around the rim. I know that Ryan Kalkbrenner has some, pretty solid, shot blocking numbers, but this team is overall pretty weak guarding at the basket. And Banchero is a player that can beat his man off the dribble, but he's a force around the rim because of how big he is. I think he's going to be able to create in isolation in this game. I think he's going to be able to score in the post. And they are also a pretty weak team, the Hornets, when it comes to defending pick and roll ball handlers. And I do think Banchero is going to get some opportunities to run the offense. So I think Banchero has a big game. I was also looking at Anthony Black because when Suggs doesn't play, he puts up big numbers as well. But I think this game is going to be a little bit higher in scoring, and I do think Banchero is going to be a big part of that.
What do you make of this resurgence from Charlotte? I think it's 6 out of the last 12 games they've won. They're looking a little bit more like a 500 team. The numbers with LaMelo and Brandon Miller together have actually been really good. Is this going to look more like the 30-ish win team a lot of us thought they were going to be?
Well, I think I'm in the same boat as you, and I know Kelly Bidlin feels the same way. But if this team was always healthy, if you knew you were getting 82 games out of these guys, I think they'd be closer to a 40-win team because I think that they have the talent. I think that some of those players fit really nicely together, and I do think Con Knippel ties the room together really well. So I think that he's kind of stepped in, given them a floor spacer, given them a guy that can handle the ball a little bit, and I just think that he's taken this team to another level. And I do think that Charlotte can be expected to go over that win total. You just have to hope that LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller stay healthy. Those guys seem like they missed one out of every 2 games.
I know Cooper Flagg's a $3 favorite right now for Rookie of the Year, but Con Knippel, I mean, the dude is a dude, right?
I think who was it? Was it Zach Lowe and a couple other media members said that Knippel was their guy right now, wasn't it?
Let's go.
Yep, I talked about this a little bit today, too. Like, I was listening to the Zach Lowe show, and Zach Lowe and J. Kyle Mann both said that they have Con Knippel winning Rookie of the Year right now. But I think that's interesting because I do think that over the last, 2-3 weeks, Flagg has looked more like an all-star than a rookie. So I think that there's a chance that he's going to kind of put this to bed in a few weeks. I think Knippel's been great. And it has nothing really to do with what Knippel hasn't done. Like, he continues to be, a nightly 18 to 20 point per game threat. And I do love the way that he kind of brings some 3-point shooting to this team. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder. But Flagg, man, he played a really good game against the Warriors yesterday. He did that on a national stage. I think that's why you saw him move from minus 180 to minus 300 because he finally played in front of a big audience. I think people kind of finally saw him playing like that alpha on Dallas. And I do think he's going to continue to be relied on as the number one option on that team. So I think he's going to start to pull away with it a little bit. But I do understand that Knippel's been a little bit better to this point in the season overall.
Flagg again, minus 300. Knippel plus 240. Derek Queen, 13-1. VJ Edgecombe, 30-1 in the Rookie of the Year odds. Edgecombe, by the way, another guy you're targeting today in the prop market.
Yeah, I have Edgecombe over 15.5 points. He was questionable when I wrote it up this morning, but now he's listed as probable. This is just a play where, I really like the way Edgecombe matches up with this Bulls team because Chicago is one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to guarding at the rim. They are very bad at guarding above the break threes, and those 2 areas of the floor account for 70% of Edgecombe scoring. They're also a little bit lazy in transition, Chicago, and Edgecombe is one of the most explosive players in the league. So I do think that this is going to be a game where he's going to get a couple of good 3-point opportunities, whether that's off the dribble creating for himself or just knocking down spot-up attempts. And I also think he's going to finish at the rim a few times. So I think he's going to have a really good game here. And I do think if Joel Embiid misses this game and he is questionable, Edgecombe's more of a threat to go for 25 than he is, 16. So I think this is a player that really should go over this mark, even if his role is a little bit lower.
All right, before we get you out of here in the last 90 seconds, since we were talking about awards, why has there been no more respect for our guy who is on quite the run here? I believe it is now, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games with 20-plus points for Keontae George. What's going on? Most improved player. He's got to be the favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be taking this. If you have not taken this yet and you could still get a number of 15-1 or better, I'd be jumping all over this. I took it at 25-1. I don't know what you got at what did you get, 16 or?
I think I'll have to double check. Go ahead.
So you're telling me I need to add a 14-1 on Keontae George today?
I would say so.
I would look for better than 14 if you could beat it.
Okay.
I think you can, but I do think that he's worth a shot because I just think that his improvement has been right up there with some of the other guys. I think Jalen Johnson, Denny Avdia, Austin Reeves, these are the guys that have made that leap that kind of Tyrese Maxey has, where it's very good player. It's a borderline all-star or all-star. But Keontae George kind of went from a player that did not look like he had a big future in Utah to now being a core piece of that franchise. And I think he's looked awesome this year. He's not going to be sitting out games the rest of the year. They kind of need him to get some more reps. And I just think he's going to continue to put up big numbers. So I think he's going to play his way into the conversation.
Yeah, I got 15.
Okay. We've got best bets coming up next segment. And
an addition?
I'm looking to add. So let's see what we do here. Zach, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. New Mexico plus 2.5 too.
Let's go. Let's go. A little bowl action here. Good to note again, though, Hardwood Handicappers, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure download, subscribe, do all the things, get it in the auto downloads. New episode out today from Zach. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Oh, man, I might not have a choice at this point, Stormy.
What? Oh, you're going to the game?
I might not have a choice.
Why? What now? What
Breaking
news just dropped?
from 1 minute ago. The Raiders are shutting down Max Crosby because of a knee injury.
Already
He's
shut
been
down
battling.
Brock Bowers.
Ooh. Now, this is where you know this is so good, dude. This is so good. This is the tank off. This is the equivalent of the Cold War between the United States and Russia. You know, nothing was really happening. They were just kind of ramping up their arms. Same thing here. The Giants have put, I think yesterday they put about 6 guys on injured reserve. We've seen the Raiders do the same thing now. This is a tank off. This is great. And so what I love, though, is, and you can attest to this being somebody who actually does capital J journalism at times, you can always tell when people get their information and where they get it from. So I'm just going to read you the report here. Sources: Raiders star Max Crosby was informed that he'll be out Sunday versus the Giants because of the knee injury he's been battling since October. Las Vegas made the decision with Crosby's best interest in mind, though the Pro Bowler has been fighting to play and wants to play. In other words, we're not tanking. We swear to God, we just want Max to be healthy. Okay.
And Max has been injured for months.
Yeah.
And he's been fighting
But
to do whatever he
just-
can for this team.
But just a coinky-dink that right before you take on the team in which the game would decide whether or not you get the first pick, you're going to be like, yeah, we got to shut him down. So they're already a 1.5 point dog. I would assume that this is going to move a little bit here now with that news that he is out. By the way, one of 2 big edge rushers, both figuratively and literally, that are not going to play this weekend. Official TJ Watt is out for the Steelers.
So, if you go to the game, what's the bet? Because you're not just going to the game without action.
Oh, yeah.
So, what are you playing? Total's 41.5.
I mean,
are you
yeah.
looking at some dart props? What are we doing?
I think you got to go under, right? I like Will's thought on it. He bet under 41.5. Will Hill was with us earlier.
Yeah, do you trust either of these offenses?
I mean, my hope would be like it's a 3-0 ugly game. That's what I would hope for.
That's what you want. That's what you want your first football game to be like, you know what? I don't want to know the first name of a single player on the field.
I want it to be the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Yes.
You have to go then. You know what? I've totally flipped on this because before
getting so
I was
crazy.
saying I don't think you should put yourself or subject yourself to making your first NFL game one of the worst games ever. But if it is truly historically bad, then at least it'll be a story. It'll be a memory that you'll have forever.
It is, but we have even more breaking news. And
Hit
this
it.
is even better. The Packers officially ruling out Jordan Love for Saturday night. So this is from Adam Schefter about a minute ago. Due to the concussion, Malik Willis is expected to start. For our audience maybe who didn't remember throughout the week, shoulder injury or shoulder soreness had been an issue for Willis throughout.
Another standalone game with major quarterback injuries, this time on both sides, because if you've been following the reports on Lamar Jackson, who's got a significant back contusion, it's looking more and more, I was going to say more and more unlikely, but it's looking less and less likely that he's ultimately going to play in this game. Listed as doubtful on the official injury report. Packers are 4.5 point favorites right now, but you think that gets on the move now with Love officially out?
I mean, we'll see. So Circus here, I'm looking at the screen at 5.5 already, and that was before the news. I mean, probably gets back down to like 4.5. I mean, we have to give Matt LaFleur some credit here. He's done a pretty good job in the times that Willis has had to play. Yeah. So I think that you're like a lot of this has been factored in. Maybe he closed it about 4.5, but
Tyler Huntley's had his moments too.
Sure. Yeah. There have been moments
at times
that things have occurred in Tyler Huntley's career in time. Yes.
Total 39.5 in this one. We'll continue to go through the card here a little bit because I know there were some other injury updates that popped up for you. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tristan Wirfs was one that you saw.
Tristan Wirfs, among a couple of other guys that have been ruled out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kalijah Cansey and Anthony Nelson all will not play for the Bucs. So we're starting to get
game
some
for
of these.
Tampa Bay.
Yes, of course, yeah, really big one. This one actually has some playoff implications on the line outside of the ones that we have really been focusing on. So
I know on the surface you look at the Bucs have lost 6 of the last 7 games or whatever it is. Miami's struggling right now. This game sucks. Huge implications for the NFC South.
Yes, this could be clinched this weekend if they lose to the Dolphins. And then on the flip side, of course, if your Carolina Panthers get the win and pull the upset against Seattle, you're talking about nothing to play for in Week 18 for Carolina, shockingly enough.
I don't think that's going to happen, but still worth noting. I think that when all is said and done, it's going to come down to that Week 18 game. Carolina, Tampa Bay, head-to-head, all the marbles on the line. What's it going to be? That said, you see that spread up on your screen. Carolina getting 7 at home against the Seattle Seahawks, total 42.5. Panthers have been better at home. Mm-hmm. Seattle's been better on the road, too, though.
Yeah, and there's also just the thought of hey, if the Buccaneers are blowing out the Dolphins, and because I know that Canales said he wouldn't be looking at these sort of things, but if you're Carolina, if you're seeing the writing on the wall and you're getting trounced, then you're looking around and going all right, well, the Bucs are up, and they're up by 14, we're down by 10, and we're going into the fourth.
Pack it in. Let's keep our guys healthy for next week.
Very much more important game. And and I think you do want to win this game, and I'm not saying they're not game planning for it, but do you have a small contingent of guys starting the game plan for next week already?
Yeah.
As opposed to everybody getting fully set for Seattle.
Any other injuries?
Of the ones that have come down recently, I think that's all the big ones that's worth noting right now.
Let's hit our best bet recap real quickly and look ahead to what we're adding into the account for the weekend. Yesterday, for me, I finally bet an NBA regular season game on Christmas, rolling with OKC, laying 8.5, thinking I got a good number. No, thank you. That goes down against the Spurs. You weren't here with us yesterday, so we didn't do our standard money moves show, but the Hawaii Bowl total over did get home for us the other day. And what a crazy freaking ending that game was for you to cash your play on Hawaii, too. Backup quarterback, second play that he's in there, ends up having the game-winning score. So fun ending there. In the NFL, I did get my Cowboys team total over 29.5, albeit barely. Was looking good most of the game until it didn't. They closed right on 30. And this number, by the way, did tick up to 30.5. So talk about betting the right numbers while you can. Both the teasers crash and burn because Detroit falls for the 3rd week in a row. So much for the bounce back spot and how great those numbers have been. Not so much anymore, JVT. How about you?
Let's see. Pretty much the same. We're probably similar in terms of some of the results that we have seen so far between you and I, in that had a couple of Lions teasers go down yesterday because of it. Got Hawaii on the money line like you talked about there too. So pretty similar outcome. Nick's team total over 122.5. I'm going to be a little salty here about this Mavericks plus 8.5. They end up losing by 10 in a game which Anthony Davis only played 11 minutes. Cooper Flagg played extremely well, as we had kind of discussed as part of the handicap. So for a second straight year during a Christmas game, Anthony Davis goes down with an injury, and the Mavericks just barely miss out on a cover against the Golden State Warriors. So, but the two teasers are also going to mean, we were never really in it. We were watching that game together, just kind of knew the whole time, wow, this is really never going to happen.
It's every time you thought, okay, Detroit, let's they start matriculating the ball downfield. Oh, there's another turnover. Oh, there's another turnover. We're not allowed to have good things. Also, by the way, as I'm looking at my live odds board, Green Bay down to 3.5 now against the Ravens. So
something we kind of figured, yep.
We are shifting the total point down as well to 38.5. What are you adding for the weekend?
So, no, we'll reiterate. I forgot to send these in. I apologize to our graphics people. It's my fault. First off, the Texans-Titans teaser that was put in earlier this week, so we're still holding on to that, teasing them both up through the key numbers there. I will take the Texans +2 as well against the Los Angeles Chargers, and a couple of numbers that aren't on the key number, but I'm sure this won't burn me at all. You can also give me the Tennessee Titans +2.5 against the New Orleans Saints.
I'm here for it.
I just can't.
We love these ugly home dogs.
It's the way to do it. Come on. The two teams got nothing to play for. That's the thing, too, when you look at some of those games. When you get two teams like that aren't playing for the quarterback, they know that they at least feel kind of they have their guy. The Titans for sure do. And then Tyler Shuck showing at least enough that the Saints would think that you want to kind of grow and see what you have with him. Those are actually some of the better games down the stretch because they're going to put out a good effort. You're going to see a lot with both of those young quarterbacks. And I think the Titans are I don't think there's that much separating these two teams at this point right now. Again, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7, undervalued by the betting market. Time and again, I think the Titans have shown enough here to trust getting teased up and to get backed here against New Orleans.
I need to find a dance partner for them because I like that idea of a teaser, bringing them up from the 2.5 to the 8.5.
No? What about teasing the Bengals down or the Seattle Seahawks?
Do they have
down?
Arizona? Ooh,
Yep.
I could see that.
You could do a Seahawks Titans teaser. You want to do that? Get them down to one?
No, because I don't want to.
You want to tease the Raiders up?
Seattle. No. That said, you do need to add the under 41.5 to the account on that game.
Yeah.
If you're going to the game.
You want to tease up Philly? Tease down.
That game's weird. Eagles-Bills is going to be a fun one on Sunday afternoon.
Tease down the
I don't know what
Rams?
to do with that.
There's actually a lot of numbers.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
If you're a strict Wong teaser player, there's a lot of options for you this week. Now, of course,
I like
one of them have already
stuff,
gotten blown up in your face, too, as of yesterday with the Lions. But to your point, if you're a Stormy type of person, that you can tease up.
Numbers don't matter.
Why don't you tease up Miami to 11.5?
I might do the Rams. I might do that on yeah, I like that. Let's do.
There you go, see?
Let's make it official. I'll put that in the account as soon as we get off the air. So I'll tease up the Titans, pair it with the Rams against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday night. And officially official, Keontae George. Throw it in there in the futures market. Yeah. We're going to do it. I mean, I need something, especially since the NBA officially started yesterday, so now I'll get on board.
Before I forget, 76ers -1 as well. I apologize.
Boom. Lock it in. That's a wrap for us today on Money Moves. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. Follow the money with Mitch and Paul coming up after this.